My brothers, my sisters, when the heart of a woman beats, it does not beat for herself alone. It beats for the children she has carried in her arms, for the community that leans on her shoulders, and for the generations yet unborn. The heart of a woman is not a delicate thing. No, it is a fortress. It has been bruised, but it still sings. It has been broken, but it still builds. It has been silenced, but it still tells the truth. A pause, stronger voice. And I stand before you today to remind you, the heart of a woman is the drum that keeps humanity marching forward. When we say the heart of a woman endures, we are not speaking in light phrases. We are talking about a truth carved into the very marrow of history. To endure means to face the storm and still remain standing. To endure means to walk through the fire and emerge, not unburned but unconsumed. To endure is to keep moving forward when everything around you says, stop. You cannot. You will not. And yet the heart of a woman says, watch me. For every day in the quiet corners of our neighborhoods you will find women who wake before the sun, when the world is still sleeping, to prepare the day for everyone else. The tired mother who ties her shoes at 4 a.m., heading to her second job because the children must eat, her heart endures. The grandmother who raises not only her children but her children's children, stretching her years to give them a chance at a brighter tomorrow, her heart endures. The young woman who walks into a classroom, head held high though the world has told her 100 times she is not enough, her heart endures. To endure does not mean she is free from pain. It does not mean she has never known failure or heartbreak. No, it means she has known both and still she rises. The woman who has been betrayed, left behind, or dismissed, yet still holds her head up and whispers to herself, I will not be defined by this pain, shows us the art of endurance. It is not glamorous, not always celebrated, and often it is invisible. But endurance is power. Think about the women who stood in lines for water when war had stolen their homes, yet shared their last cup with a stranger. Think about the women who worked in fields, their backs bent under the hot sun, humming a song of freedom, planting seeds they might never see bloom. And still they sang. Think about the women who sat at typewriters or in factories or at sewing machines, earning a penny while dreaming of a day when their daughters would not have to choose between dignity and survival. They did not endure for themselves alone. They endured for us. And in our daily lives, endurance is not always marked by grand gestures. Sometimes it is a quiet persistence. A single mother driving through the night with her sleeping children in the back seat, moving from shelter to shelter until she finds a place called home. A young girl sitting with her textbooks late into the night, her stomach empty but her mind hungry, determined to graduate because she knows education is her doorway to freedom. A wife standing by her husband when illness has taken his strength, offering hers without complaint. These are not stories from faraway lands. These are the lives that beat next to ours. Endurance does not look the same for everyone. For some it is physical, the body carrying burdens it was never meant to hold. For others it is emotional, the spirit refusing to collapse under the weight of rejection or prejudice. And for many, it is spiritual, a faith that keeps them standing when the ground beneath seems to crumble. Let us not confuse endurance with silence. To endure is not to suffer quietly, without voice. No, endurance often speaks. It says, I am still here. I may be wounded, I may be weary, but I am still here. Endurance is an act of defiance. It is saying, you can push me down, but you cannot erase me. You can doubt me, but you cannot unmake me. You can chain me, but you cannot stop my spirit from running free. In the kitchen of an old house, a mother stirs a pot with tired hands while laughter fills the room from children who do not know the size of her sacrifices. That is endurance. In the hospital room, a woman battling illness manages to smile at her family, teaching them courage without speaking a word. That is endurance. In classrooms, in boardrooms, in villages, in cities. Women endure not because life is easy, but because their hearts are trained to hold on, even when the weight is crushing. A woman's endurance is not about stubbornness. It is about vision. She sees beyond today's struggle into tomorrow's possibility. She carries hope like a torch, protecting its flame against winds that try to extinguish it. She knows that if she lets it die, generations after her may walk in darkness. And so she endures. Ask yourself, how many of us are standing today because a woman endured for us? How many of us are educated because she worked extra hours to pay for our books? How many of us are alive because she stayed up through the night watching over our fevers? How many of us are confident because she whispered into our ears, you can, you must, you will. Even when her own life was filled with cannot and must not, she endured for us. This is why the heart of a woman cannot be underestimated. When the storms of life batter the walls, her heart becomes the shelter. When the weight of despair tries to crush the spirit of her people, her heart becomes the pillar. When the night seems endless, her heart endures until the morning comes. And here is the lesson: to endure is not only to survive, but to turn survival into strength. The heart of a woman does not simply outlast the storm. It learns to dance in the rain. She does not only carry pain, she transforms pain into wisdom, into art, so into leadership, into love. So when we speak of the heart of a woman enduring, let us speak with reverence. Let us honor the invisible victories, the unseen struggles, the private battles fought in silence, because endurance is not only her story, it is the story of us all. And when we recognize it, we find courage to endure too. Because the truth is this: if the heart of a woman can endure, then so can the world. When we say the heart of a woman creates, we are touching the very essence of life itself. Creation is not just the act of bringing forth children into the world, though that is sacred and powerful. Creation is also the shaping of hope out of despair, building bridges where there were only walls, painting possibility onto the blank canvas of impossibility. The heart of a woman has always been a birthplace for ideas, for revolutions, for solutions, for love. She creates not only with her hands, but with her vision, her resilience, and her imagination. Look closely at daily life, and you will see the quiet miracles of creation. A woman with very little money takes the few ingredients in her cupboard and turns them into a meal that feeds her family. It is not only food she has created, it is comfort, togetherness, and dignity at the dinner table. That is creation. A teacher in a small classroom, underpaid and overworked, takes a group of restless children and creates curiosity in them, weaving knowledge into stories, shaping their futures word by word. That is creation. A nurse on the night shift, with tired eyes and weary feet, creates hope for a patient who thought all hope was lost simply by offering her compassion and care. That is creation. To create means to bring something into existence that was not there before. The woman who has been told she cannot start a business because she has no wealth, no background, no connections, yet she begins in her kitchen, selling what she knows with her hands, slowly building, slowly rising. She is creating. And her creation is not only a business, it is proof to every person watching that limitations can be challenged, barriers can be broken, dreams can be born in the smallest of places. Creation often begins in silence. The heart of a woman may sit with nothing but pain in her chest, and out of that pain she creates music, poetry, art, or words that heal not only herself but thousands of others. Think of the woman who has survived heartbreak and pours her feelings into writing, painting, or singing. What she creates becomes a mirror for others, showing them that they too can rise from ashes. Creation is a healing force, not just for her, but for the world around her. Even in the most ordinary of moments, the heart of a woman creates. A mother braids her daughter's hair, weaving not just strands, but also stories, lessons, and confidence into every twist. A grandmother passes down recipes, songs, and traditions, creating continuity that binds generations together. A friend who notices your pain creates laughter to lighten your load, reminding you that joy can be born even in the midst of sorrow. The heart of a woman creates because it refuses to be confined. When the world gives her scraps, she fashions them into garments. When the world gives her dust, she shapes it into bricks. When the world gives her silence, she composes symphonies. Her creativity is not always celebrated, not always seen, but is always present, breathing life where there was none. There is something profoundly divine in the way a woman creates. She may not always have the resources, the support, or the recognition, but she has vision. She can see the not yet as if it already exists. She can hold in her mind the image of a better tomorrow, and then set her hands, her heart, and her spirit to bringing it forth. That is why you find women creating movements for justice when their voices were not even invited to the table. That is why you find women creating homes out of broken houses, families out of strangers, peace out of conflict. Think of the young woman who studies by candlelight because her village has no electricity. She creates light not only for herself, but for every younger sibling watching her determination. Think of the woman who, after losing her job, learns a new skill, turns it into a livelihood, and then employs others. She creates opportunities out of obstacles. Think of the countless women who have taken a no and reshaped it into a yes by sheer persistence. Creation is not just artistry, it is survival, it is innovation, it is love in action. And the beauty of a woman's creation is that it multiplies. What she creates does not stay with her alone. The knowledge she teaches spreads. The child she nurtures grows to influence others. The kindness she sows blossoms in people she may never meet. The business she starts feeds not only her family but other families. The stories she writes inspires strangers across oceans. Her creation ripples outward, touching lives far beyond her sight. The heart of a woman creates even when the world tries to destroy. Out of trauma, she creates healing. Out of oppression, she creates resistance. Out of poverty, she creates possibility. This is why societies cannot silence women forever, because their hearts will continue to create, to dream, to build, to inspire until change is born. So when we say the heart of a woman creates, we honor the truth that without her creativity, life would grow stale, hope would wither, and progress would halt. The heart of a woman does not wait for perfect conditions to create. It creates precisely because conditions are imperfect. It knows that where there is nothing, something must be born. Where there is despair, hope must be imagined. Where there is emptiness, love must be planted. And here is the lesson. The creation of a woman is not reserved for extraordinary stages or grand platforms. It is in the everyday, in kitchens, in classrooms, in offices, in hospitals, in fields, in conversations, in prayers. She is creating all the time, weaving together the fabric of society with threads the world may never notice but cannot live without. The heart of a woman creates, and in her creation, she reminds us all that we too can create. We can create kindness where there is cruelty, unity where there is division, light where there is darkness. And if the heart of a woman can create from so little, surely we can take what we have and shape it into something beautiful. Because her creation is proof that even in the hardest soil, a flower can bloom. When we say, the heart of a woman holds wisdom, we are not speaking of knowledge that comes only from books or degrees or titles. We are speaking of a wisdom that is older than the mountains, deeper than the oceans, and more enduring than time itself. It is the wisdom carved into her soul by living. By carrying, by loving, by losing, and by rising again, the heart of a woman holds wisdom because she has been both the student and the teacher, both the question and the answer. This wisdom is quiet but powerful. It is the kind that does not need to shout because its truth carries its own weight. A mother, for example, knows when her child is hurting even before a word is spoken. She can look into their eyes, hear the silence in their laughter, and feel the heaviness in their footstep. That is wisdom. A grandmother sitting in her rocking chair may not speak much, but when she opens her mouth, a single sentence can guide an entire family. That is wisdom. The heart of a woman reads between the lines, sees beyond the surface, and understands what others miss. Wisdom is not built in a day. It is gathered like stones on a long journey. Every hardship adds a stone, every joy another, every loss another, every triumph another, until her heart becomes a temple filled with the stones of experience. She knows what it means to wait patiently, to forgive deeply, to love unconditionally, because life has taught her these lessons again and again. In daily life, we see this wisdom expressed in ways so subtle we might overlook them. When a young woman decides to walk away from a toxic friendship even though it leaves her lonely, she is choosing wisdom over temporary comfort. When a mother encourages her child to pursue education even though it costs her sleepless nights of work, she is showing wisdom in seeing beyond the present to the promise of the future. When a woman decides to keep her dignity in a world that constantly tries to strip it away, she is exercising wisdom that says, I am worth more than the way I am treated. Wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. A woman often carries this discernment in her heart. She knows that not every battle is worth fighting and not every silence is surrender. Sometimes she holds her tongue not because she has nothing to say, but because her spirit tells her that the right time has not yet come. And when she does speak, her words carry the weight of storms and the gentleness of rain. Think of the women in history who, without weapons, without armies, used wisdom to shift the course of nations. Their strategies, their patience, their vision, that was the wisdom of the heart guiding them when the world thought they had no power. And think of the women in our everyday lives who solve conflicts in families, who keep peace in communities, who carry traditions forward. They may not be written about in books, but they carry the same kind of wisdom, tested and true. Wisdom is also knowing how to balance strength with tenderness. The heart of a woman can discipline her child with firmness, yet kiss away the tears with love. She can fight fiercely for her rights, yet extend compassion to those who oppose her. That balance is wisdom. The ability to hold fire in one hand and water in the other, and to know when each is needed. The heart of a woman holds wisdom in the way she endures seasons. She knows that winters do not last forever, that spring will always return. She may not have studied philosophy, but she knows by living that pain will pass, joy will return, and nothing is wasted. This is why so many women are able to comfort others. Their wisdom comes from surviving storms themselves, and now they can guide others through the rain. In every household, every workplace, every community, there is at least one woman whose wisdom becomes the anchor. She may be the one others go to for advice, the one who mediates arguments, the one who keeps the family together when tragedy strikes. She does not need applause because her wisdom is not for show. It is for survival, for healing, for building. And wisdom is not always about knowing the answers. Sometimes it is about asking the right questions. A woman with wisdom can look at her child and say, "Who do you want to become?" Instead of forcing them into her own dream, she can look at her partner and ask, "How can we grow together?" Rather than demanding perfection. She can look at her own reflection and ask, "What do I need to let go of to be free?" These questions open doors that answers alone cannot. The heart of a woman holds wisdom that teaches us all how to live. She teaches us to be patient when we are restless, to be kind when we are angry, to be hopeful when we are weary. Her wisdom shows us that love is stronger than hate, that faith is stronger than fear, and that resilience is stronger than despair. So when we honor a woman, we must honor not just her strength or her beauty, but her wisdom. For it is her wisdom that guides families, shapes communities, and sustains nations. And even when the world does not listen, her wisdom remains ready to speak, ready to guide, ready to light the path. The heart of a woman holds wisdom, and in that wisdom lies the map to our collective survival. It is the compass that points toward justice, the lamp that lights the way through darkness. The melody that teaches us harmony. To listen to the wisdom of a woman is to hear the voice of life itself saying, "Walk this way. Do not give up. Keep going." There is more ahead than you can see. That is the power of a woman's heart. It carries wisdom that does not fade, but grows brighter with every trial, with every tear, with every triumph. And if we would only stop and listen, we might find the very answers we have been searching for all along. When we say, "The heart of a woman is courage," we speak of a strength that is often unseen yet always present. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to walk forward even when fear is gripping your bones. Courage is not loud or boastful. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it trembles, but it always moves. The heart of a woman has carried courage through centuries, courage that bends but does not break, courage that quivers but does not collapse, courage that keeps on walking even when the road is long, lonely, and full of shadows. Courage shows up in the simplest acts of everyday life. A mother sending her child to school in a world that may not see their worth is courage. She lets them walk out the door wrapped in prayers. She's stitched during the night, knowing she cannot shield them from every danger, but she can arm them with her faith. That is courage. A young woman standing before a crowd to share her story. Though her voice shakes and her knees wobble is courage. She is risking judgment, yet she speaks because she knows her truth might set someone else free. That is courage. The heart of a woman is courage when she stays. It is also courage when she leaves. When a woman decides to leave a place, a relationship, a situation that diminishes her spirit, she may walk out with nothing but her dignity. That is courage. And when another woman decides to stay, to hold on, to fight for her marriage, her children, her dream, knowing that staying will demand everything of her, that too is courage. For courage is not one single path. It is listening to the voice within and following it, even when others do not understand. Look at daily life and you will see courage scattered like seeds everywhere a woman stands. The girl who dares to raise her hand in class, even when she is the only one of her kind in the room. The woman who speaks in meetings, refusing to shrink, though the table was not built with her in mind. The grandmother who crosses borders with grandchildren on her hip, seeking safety in a foreign land where she does not know the language. The wife who stays beside her partner through sickness, through poverty, through storms. These are not stories from history books alone. These are stories unfolding beside us every day. The heart of a woman is courage because she often has to walk into rooms that were not made for her. She has to prove herself twice as much, fight battles no one else sees, swallow tears to keep going. And yet she keeps showing up. That is courage, showing up when the world whispers that you don't belong. Courage is also found in quiet resilience, the woman who wakes up each day with anxiety pressing on her chest, yet still gets out of bed to face her children, her job, her world. That is courage, the student who has failed once, twice, 3 times, but tries again until she succeeds. That is courage. The mother who pretends to be strong so her children can feel safe, even though inside she is breaking. That is courage. And courage is not only for herself. The heart of a woman is courage because she often stands not just for her own life, but for others. She advocates for her children, defends her friends, protects her family, speaks for those who cannot. She carries battles that are not even her own, and she fights them as though her life depends on it. Her courage is contagious. It lights torches in the hearts of others, showing them they too can rise. Think of the woman who breaks generational chains, the one who says, "It ends with me." The abuse stops here, the silence stops here, the fear stops here. She knows it will not be easy, but she steps forward anyway. That is courage. Think of the woman who dares to dream in places where dreaming is dangerous. She imagines a better future and starts building it brick by brick. In the face of doubt and discouragement, that is courage. Courage is not always about fighting. Sometimes it is about forgiving. To forgive someone who wounded you deeply, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace, is courage. To love again after being broken is courage. To trust again after betrayal is courage. To stand tall again after humiliation is courage. The heart of a woman is courage because she knows life will not always be kind, yet she chooses to live with open hands, open heart, open spirit. She understands that courage is not about never falling. It is about rising after every fall. It is about holding her head high, even when tears stain her face. It is about refusing to let fear write the final chapter of her story. So when you see a woman smiling while carrying burdens you cannot imagine, understand that smile is courage. When you see her walking forward though her past is heavy, note that walk is courage. When you hear her voice steady though her soul has been shaken, realize that voice is courage. Courage in the heart of a woman is the thread that holds families, communities, even nations together. It is the backbone of revolutions and the quiet strength behind every breakthrough. It is not always celebrated, not always recognized, but it is always there keeping the world from collapsing under despair. And here is the truth: courage does not mean fear is gone. It means fear has been faced, challenged, and walked through. The heart of a woman is courage because she does not wait for fear to leave. She walks anyway, she rises anyway, she loves anyway. So let us never underestimate the courage of a woman's heart, for it is the courage of women that has carried humanity through slavery, through wars, through injustice, through poverty, through pandemics, through every dark valley we have walked as a people, and it will be the courage of women that lights the way into brighter tomorrows. The heart of a woman is courage, and when you witness it, you cannot help but be inspired to find the courage within yourself. When we say, the heart of a woman lifts others, we are speaking of one of the most beautiful truths in existence, that her victories are never hers alone. She does not rise to stand on the mountaintop only for herself. She rises so that others may climb more easily after her. She does not keep her strength hidden. She uses it to build ladders, to extend hands, to open doors. The heart of a woman lifts others because she knows that life is not meant to be a solitary journey. Her triumph is not complete until those around her can taste triumph too. Look around you and you will see this lifting power every day. A mother bends down to tie her child's shoes before school, whispering, "You are smart, you are strong, you can do it." That small encouragement becomes the child's confidence throughout the day. That is lifting. A teacher stays after hours with the student who struggles the most, giving them not just lessons but belief. That is lifting. A friend listens without judgment to another's pain, becoming a safe space where healing begins. That is lifting. The heart of a woman lifts others because she understands that true greatness is not measured by how high she goes, but by how many she brings with her. A woman who achieves success but then mentors others, who shares knowledge, who creates opportunities. She is lifting. A grandmother raising her grandchildren on limited means, pouring into them love, discipline, and wisdom so that their lives may be better than hers. She is lifting. A community leader, unpaid and unseen, who organizes food for the hungry, who visits the sick, who speaks for the voiceless. She is lifting. Sometimes lifting comes in the form of sacrifice. A woman works long hours so her children can study, even though she herself may never return to school. She is lifting them higher than her own circumstances. A sister drops her own dreams for a while to care for her siblings, making sure they do not stumble. She is lifting. A wife supports her husband when he feels defeated, reminding him of his strength until he can stand tall again. She is lifting. And sometimes lifting comes in the form of inspiration. A young girl watches her mother break barriers, fight for her rights, and speak with courage. She learns, not through lectures, but through example, what is possible. That girl grows into a woman who believes in herself because someone before her lifted her with vision. A woman in a workplace advocates for another woman, saying, her voice matters, her contribution matters, give her a chance. That one act of lifting changes not just a career but a destiny. The heart of a woman lifts others, even when she herself is tired. She may be carrying her own burdens, yet she pauses to say, "Come, lean on me." She may be fighting her own battles, yet she takes time to remind someone else that they are not alone. That is not weakness, that is strength multiplied, for she knows that in lifting others, she too is lifted. We often underestimate the small ways a woman lifts those around her. A kind word spoken at the right time, a smile given to a stranger who thought no one saw them, a prayer whispered for someone who never knew she prayed. These gestures may seem small, but they can change the direction of a life. A child who is told they are loved will walk differently into the world. A man who is told he is capable will face his challenges with renewed faith. A community that feels seen will stand together more firmly. Lifting is not only about encouragement, it is also about accountability. A woman who loves you will not always tell you what you want to hear. She will tell you what you need to hear. She will push you to be better, even when it is uncomfortable. She will remind you of your responsibilities, your gifts, your calling. This too is lifting, not letting you settle for less than who you are meant to be. The heart of a woman lifts others because she sees beyond the surface. She sees the potential hidden beneath mistakes. She sees the beauty hidden beneath brokenness. She sees the strength hidden beneath fear. And because she sees it, she calls it forth. She lifts it up, shaping it until it becomes visible to the world. Throughout history, the progress of humanity has always been carried by this lifting. Women who educated children in secret when schools were denied. Women who organized communities when leaders failed. Women who stood at marches, sang songs of hope, and reminded nations of their conscience. They lifted not just individuals, but entire movements, entire societies. Their lifting became the backbone of change. And in our everyday lives, their lifting is just as powerful. A nurse holding the hand of a patient so they don't feel alone. A friend sending a message at the exact moment you needed to hear you mattered. A stranger helping another stranger without expectation, simply because compassion overflowed. That is the heart of a woman at work. So when we say the heart of a woman lifts others, we are not talking about a rare act. We are talking about a daily miracle. It is happening all around us, in homes, in schools, in workplaces, in quiet corners where no one is watching. Women are lifting constantly, faithfully, quietly, powerfully. And here is the truth: when a woman lifts others, she lifts the whole world. For every child she encourages will grow into an adult who can change lives. For every person she supports, a community is strengthened. For every dream she breathes life into, the future becomes brighter. The heart of a woman lifts others, and in her lifting, we are all carried higher. She reminds us that no one climbs alone, no one succeeds alone, no one heals alone. Her lifting is proof that love in action is the greatest power on earth. When we say, the heart of a woman forgives, we touch upon one of the most profound strengths known to humankind. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is not surrender. It is not forgetting what has been done. No, forgiveness is power. It is the decision to release the chains of bitterness so the soul can breathe freely again. It is the quiet strength to look at pain in the face and say, you will not define me. You will not poison me. You will not hold me captive any longer. The heart of a woman forgives not because the hurt was small, but because her spirit is too large to live in the prison of resentment. Think about it. Forgiveness does not come easy. It is not natural to the wounded heart. The natural reaction to betrayal, to insult, to injustice is anger. It is the desire to repay pain with pain. And yet in so many homes, in so many communities, it is the woman's heart that chooses a higher road. It is the mother who, though her child has disrespected her, still cooks the meals, still folds the clothes, still whispers prayers for their well-being. That is forgiveness. It is the wife who, after being misunderstood or neglected, still chooses to speak peace instead of violence. That is forgiveness. It is the daughter who, though her father failed her, still chooses to honor his memory because she understands that carrying anger will only poison her future. That is forgiveness. Forgiveness in a woman's heart is not the erasing of the wound, but the healing of the wound. She knows that bitterness is heavy. It sits in the bones, in the blood, in the breath, and if she carries it, she will pass it down to her children, to her relationships, to her community. So she decides the pain stops here, the anger stops here, the hatred stops here. That decision is not easy, but it is courageous. Forgiveness is the work of courage, not of comfort. In daily life, we see this courage in countless examples. A mother forgives her teenage child after rebellion, not because she was blind to the pain, but because she knows love must win over pride. A friend forgives another friend who betrayed trust, not because the betrayal didn't matter, but because the friendship mattered more. A woman forgives herself after years of mistakes, after wrong choices, after moments of shame, because she realizes that healing cannot begin until she releases herself from her own condemnation. That is forgiveness in its purest form, not only extended outward, but inward too. Forgiveness does not mean she condones what was done to her. It does not mean she allows it to continue. No, forgiveness means she will not let the offense dictate her worth, her joy, her destiny. She may walk away, she may set boundaries, she may refuse to let that person back into her circle. And yet in her heart, she releases the grip of anger so she can walk free. That is wisdom, that is power, that is grace. The heart of a woman forgives because she understands something many do not, that resentment is a thief. It steals joy, it steals peace. It steals the ability to love fully. But forgiveness restores. Forgiveness creates room for new beginnings, for fresh love, for unshakable hope. Consider the woman who was abandoned by her partner. She raises her children alone, carrying bitterness for years. But one day she decides, if I keep carrying this anger, my children will inherit it. I will not allow them to grow up in the shadow of my pain. She forgives not for him, but for them and for herself. And suddenly her home becomes lighter, her spirit freer. Forgiveness did not change the past, but it transformed her future. Consider the woman who lost everything because of betrayal in business. She could spend her years plotting revenge, but instead she forgives, starts again, and builds something even greater. Her forgiveness fuels her freedom, her creativity, her success. That is the miracle of forgiveness. It does not excuse what was done, but it creates the possibility of something new. Even in history, it has often been women whose forgiveness healed nations, mothers who forgave the killers of their children, leaders who forgave their oppressors, not to let them go unpunished, but to break the cycle of hate. Their forgiveness became the soil where peace could grow, and in the quiet, unseen corners of the world, women forgive daily. A nurse forgives the patient who cursed her and still treats him with compassion. A wife forgives her husband for forgetting again, and instead of nagging, chooses kindness. A grandmother forgives her children for not visiting enough, and when they finally come, she welcomes them with open arms. These acts of forgiveness may never be written in books, but they are the glue that holds humanity together. The heart of a woman forgives because she knows that unforgiveness is too expensive. It costs too much joy, too much love, too much peace. She cannot afford to carry it because she has too much life to live, too many people to love, too much future to build. Forgiveness is not a favor she gives to others, it is a gift she gives to herself. And forgiveness does not make her weak. No, it makes her unstoppable. Because when she forgives, she is no longer bound to her pain. She is free to dream, free to love, free to rise. Forgiveness is her superpower. It is the reason she can endure so much and still sing. It is the reason she can lose everything and still begin again. So when we say, the heart of a woman forgives, let us speak it with reverence. For in her forgiveness lies the healing of families, the restoration of friendships, the building of nations, and the mending of souls. Her forgiveness teaches us all that love is stronger than bitterness, hope is stronger than hatred, and freedom is stronger than chains. The heart of a woman forgives, and because she forgives, the world keeps moving forward. When we say, the heart of a woman dreams, we speak of a force that cannot be silenced, a vision that cannot be erased, a fire that cannot be extinguished. Dreams in the heart of a woman are not small wishes tossed like coins into a fountain. They are lifelines. They are anchors for the future. They are seeds planted deep in the soil of her soul, watered by tears, nourished by faith, and warmed by hope until they burst forth into life. The heart of a woman dreams even when her circumstances tell her not to, even when the world whispers, settle, accept what you have, do not ask for more. Still she dreams. A young girl in a village with no library dreams of becoming a teacher. She sits under the tree with borrowed books, teaching her younger siblings the alphabet. That dream becomes her compass, guiding her through poverty, through obstacles, through doubt. That is the heart of a woman dreaming. A mother working long shifts dreams of seeing her children walk across a graduation stage. Though she is weary, that dream keeps her alive. Every step, every sacrifice is powered by that vision. Dreams are powerful because they allow her to see beyond what is into what could be. A woman living in a broken home dreams of building a family filled with love and respect. That dream carries her through years of struggle, guiding her choices until it becomes reality. A woman living in a country where her voice is silenced dreams of standing tall and speaking out. That dream refuses to die, and one day it becomes the foundation for change. The heart of a woman dreams not just for herself, but for others. She dreams of her children's future, of her community's growth, of her people's freedom. Her dreams are unselfish, expansive, and enduring. Even if she knows she may never see them come true, she still dreams so that others may inherit the vision. Like a farmer planting seeds for a harvest she will never eat, she dreams for the generations to come. In daily life, her dreams show up in ways both ordinary and extraordinary. The single mother studying at night, falling asleep over her textbooks, dreaming of a better job so her children can have more than she had. The young woman saving every coin to start a small business, dreaming of financial independence and dignity. The grandmother who prays each night for her family's well-being, dreaming of unity and peace long after she is gone. These dreams may not make headlines, but they shape destinies. The heart of a woman dreams with courage. For dreaming is not easy. It is an act of defiance in a world that often tells her to remain silent, invisible, limited. It takes courage to dream when you're told, girls like you don't do that. Women like you don't go there. Yet she dreams anyway. She dreams of becoming a leader, an inventor, a healer, an artist. And when her dreams are mocked, she holds them tighter. because she knows that dreams laughed at in the present often become the victories celebrated in the future. Dreaming also requires faith. A woman dreams while working with what little she has, believing that someday it will be enough. She dreams while walking through valleys of loss, believing there is still a mountain of joy ahead. She dreams when the doors are closed, believing that another door, or perhaps a window, will open. Her faith fuels her dream, and her dream fuels her life. Her dreams are not only personal, they ripple outward. A woman who dreams of education for her daughters creates a ripple that changes entire communities. A woman who dreams of justice for her people ignites movements that shift nations. A woman who dreams of peace plants seeds of reconciliation in the hearts of those around her. Her dreams are contagious, sparking hope in others who had stopped dreaming for themselves. And yes, her dreams are sometimes delayed. They are sometimes deferred. But the heart of a woman does not give up easily. She may set her dream aside for a season while she tends to others, while she sacrifices for family, while she survives hardship. But even then, her dream stays alive inside her, waiting for the right time to bloom. Like an ember beneath ashes, it glows quietly until the wind of opportunity fans it into flame again. Consider the countless women whose dreams have changed the world. Scientists who dreamed of cures. Writers who dreamed of stories that would awaken souls. Mothers who dreamed of children free from chains. Leaders who dreamed of justice and equality. These dreams were not birthed in luxury, but in struggle, in oppression, in poverty. Yet they lived because the heart of a woman refused to stop dreaming. And in the quiet corners of our own lives, there are women dreaming today, dreaming of healing broken families, dreaming of businesses that will create opportunities, dreaming of classrooms filled with children eager to learn, dreaming of safe homes, of thriving communities, of futures brighter than the past. These dreams matter. They are the unseen blueprints of tomorrow. So when we say the heart of a woman dreams, let us not dismiss it as something fragile or fleeting. Dreams are the fuel of progress, the foundation of hope, the wings of transformation. Her dreams are proof that the future can be better than the present. Her dreams are reminders that even in the darkest night, there is always a dawn worth waiting for. The heart of a woman dreams, and because she dreams, humanity keeps moving forward. She dares to see what others cannot yet see. She dares to hope when others have given up. She dares to believe in tomorrow, even when today is filled with struggle. And when her dreams come alive, they do not lift her alone. They lift us all. When we say, the heart of a woman inspires, we speak of a force that is both quiet and thunderous, both tender and unshakable. Inspiration is not always found in great speeches, flashing lights, or grand stages. Often it is found in the small, faithful acts of a woman who chooses to show up when life tries to silence her. Her presence, her endurance, her voice, they move people. She does not always set out to inspire, but simply by being true to herself, she becomes the spark that lights hope in others. The heart of a woman inspires when she rises each morning to face battles no one else sees. Consider the mother who gets up before dawn, not because she is rested, but because her children need breakfast, clean clothes, and a word of encouragement before they step into the world. She may not be celebrated on television or praised in books, but her steadfastness inspires. She shows her children what resilience looks like, what sacrifice feels like, and what love sounds like in action. That quiet, everyday devotion becomes the foundation of inspiration that lasts a lifetime. A woman's inspiration comes not from perfection, but from presence. She may stumble, but she stands again. She may cry, but she wipes her tears and presses forward. She may know pain, but she still chooses love. And when others see her do this, they begin to believe that they too can endure. They too can keep moving. They too can rise. Inspiration is not about having it all figured out. It is about daring to continue. And no heart demonstrates that more powerfully than the heart of a woman. In daily life, we see this inspiration play out in countless ways. A young woman working 2 jobs and attending night classes inspires her younger sister, who realizes that education and independence are within reach. A grandmother who carries herself with grace after the loss of her partner inspires her grandchildren to live with dignity even in sorrow. A nurse who returns day after day to serve patients in the midst of chaos inspires her colleagues to hold on to compassion when fatigue tempts them to give up. These are not headlines, but they are heartlines, stories written in the lives of those touched by her spirit. The heart of a woman inspires because it radiates hope, and hope is contagious. When others see her striving, believing, dreaming, they too find the courage to lift their heads and try again. A woman who opens her small business after years of setbacks inspires others in her community to step out in faith. A teacher who invests in children, even when resources are scarce, inspires her students to believe in their own worth. A survivor who tells her story inspires countless others to heal from their own wounds. Inspiration flows not only through great deeds, but through her very being. Sometimes her smile inspires. Sometimes her laughter after a season of grief reminds others that joy can return. Sometimes her words, spoken softly but with conviction, inspire courage in someone standing at the edge of giving up. She does not need to wear a crown or hold a title to inspire. She simply needs to live authentically. And in doing so, she gives others permission to do the same. A woman inspires because she reflects possibility. She proves that limitations are not final, that pain is not the end, that defeat is not forever. When she pursues her dream, she teaches others that dreaming is worthwhile. When she forgives, she shows others that peace is possible. When she loves fiercely in a world that often teaches fear, she reminds us that love is still the strongest force of all. Inspiration is not about being extraordinary. It is about turning the ordinary into something meaningful. And that is what the heart of a woman does so naturally. Imagine the ripple effect of one woman's inspiration. A child sees her mother working hard, and that child grows up determined, disciplined, and strong. That child goes on to touch the lives of many more, all because of the example set by one woman's heart. Or consider a community where one woman stands up for justice. Her bravery awakens courage in her neighbors, and soon a movement is born. This is how societies shift, not just through policies and politics, but through the inspiration carried in the heart of a woman who dares to act. Even in silence, a woman inspires. A mother who listens deeply inspires trust. A sister who stands beside her sibling through hardship inspires loyalty. A wife who supports her partner through failure inspires perseverance. Her actions speak louder than speeches. Her sacrifices speak louder than promises. Her love speaks louder than fear, and her inspiration is timeless. Long after she is gone, her words, her love, her strength live on in those she touched. A lullaby sung to a child becomes the courage that child carries into adulthood. A story told at a kitchen table becomes the wisdom that guides a family for generations. A prayer whispered in secret becomes the shield that protects loved ones long after she has departed. The heart of a woman inspires not just in the present moment, but across time. So when we say the heart of a woman inspires, let us not take it lightly. To inspire means to breathe life into others. A woman does this with her actions, her endurance, her love. She inspires not because she tries, but because she cannot help it. It is the nature of her heart. She shows us how to stand taller, love deeper, and live braver. The heart of a woman inspires, and because it inspires, humanity finds strength to rise again and again. In her laughter, we find joy. In her resilience, we find courage. In her love, we find the reminder that even in a fractured world, beauty and goodness remain. She is a living reminder that light does not have to be loud to be powerful, and that the truest inspiration is not shouted, it is lived. So when you see a woman, do not only look at her face, look at her heart. For in her heart lies the song of survival, the melody of hope, the thunder of justice, and the whisper of love. The heart of a woman is not fragile, it is fire, it is river, it is tomorrow. And if we, men, women, children alike, if we honor the heart of a woman, we will honor the very heart of humanity. Pause then softly, and still like dust, and like dawn she will rise.